Ancient Dutch sanctuary and solar calendar discovered, guys. That's what we're going to be checking out today. Yeah, dead serious. Right here. We got a new discovery that was just found in the Netherlands, and there's a solar calendar, and the thumbnail right here says it's the Dutch Stonehenge. So I seen this. I had to react to it. I mean, I love ancient discoveries. I love old ruins. I love the Netherlands as a country. The more reaction videos I do, the more I just love it. So the original channel is called History with Kayla. Kayla? I don't know how that's pronounced, but it's there. And if you want to check it out, there'll be a link in the description section down below. So make sure you go check that out as always. And we're going to jump into it and find out what is this all about.
Archaeologists in Tiel in the Netherlands have discovered a large sanctuary dating from the late Stone Age and early Bronze Age to some 4,000 years ago. This discovery is unique to the Netherlands and it was dedicated to the sun, just like Stonehenge in England. My name is Kaylee and in this video I will tell you all about this latest discovery, the findings, and since almost all information is in Dutch, I'm happy to be the one to tell you all about it.
Okay, I was getting ready to say she sounds like she's Dutch herself, little slight Dutch accent there. So yeah, let's get into it.
So first let's take a look at the location of the discovery. The excavations took place in Medel, which is an industrial estate in Tiel, which is a municipality in the province of Gelderland, which of course is located in the mid-east of the Netherlands. So the excavations at the archaeological site started all the way back in 2017. This had been one of the largest archaeological projects in the country. Of course, the country ain't that big, so being one of the largest excavation projects in the country isn't that surprising?
Yeah, the Netherlands is small. It's 47% of the area of the state of Indiana, which is where I live in the United States.
So back in 2017, excavations started in the floodplains of the Waal River, which is the main distributary branch of the River Rhine, and it flows for some 80 kilometers through the Netherlands.
Okay.
So for many years, the excavations continued until recently, and last week the discovery was announced to the public.
Okay, so this video was posted, I believe it says 5 months ago. So about 6 months ago is when the public became aware. And you may not even know about it yet. This may be the first time finding out about it. I know it's the first time I've heard about it. But you know, if you guys are in the Netherlands watching me, there's a good chance you've already heard about it. It's been around publicly for 6 months, give or take.
Many people thought it was strange that it took the researchers this long to announce this unique and amazing discovery. But it is actually easily explained because the excavations took place in small excavation pits. So after the excavations were concluded, the researchers fitted the drawings of the separate excavation pits together as a kind of a puzzle. After they finished mapping out this puzzle, they noticed a huge area that had been laid out in its entirety as a landscape filled with important ritualistic places. So the landscape was a sanctuary for a very long time for the early Bronze Age people of the Netherlands. The sanctuary itself spans over 4 football fields.
Some antique duchies there.
Which for my American viewers is 4 soccer fields. And I don't know how much that is in Ariana Grande's. The so-called henge was built at the end of the Stone Age and the beginning of the Bronze Age. So the most...
Sorry guys, my face looks greasy. It shouldn't be. I cleaned it up. Sorry about that.
Important elements at the sanctuary are 3 earth mounds. In these mounds, the remains of at least 60 men, women and children were found. And outside of the mounds, in another location, the researchers found the remains of another 20 people.
You know, speaking of mounds, we have mounds around here. Like not like specifically in my spot, but there's a Serpent Mound that's either in Indiana or Ohio. I can't remember. I think that's the largest mound we have, but scattered about, we have a ton of mounds from the Native Americans, like like the American Indian tribes or whatever, from thousands and thousands of years ago. Some of them are dated for like 10,000 years or something like that. Very cool. There's not a lot of that history left here because the pioneers came over and they destroyed it. They looked at the Native Americans as, savages and didn't want any kind of history left. And I was reading something somewhere that they were saying like 1 square mile. I don't know if that's like metric or imperial or whatever, but whatever that is, um, 1 square mile would be like the minimum land plot that people would normally buy back in the day, like, late 1600s, 1700s, early 1800s when people were buying land and expanding and going out west and the whole 9 yards. So for everybody to have a square mile of land minimum back in the day, right? It was more likely to find a mound on your land than not to. So like 80 something, 90 something percent of everybody's land had at least a mound or something on it, burial mound or ritualistic mound, whatever kind of mound it was, but a mound nonetheless, right? You don't see that very often, but you see golf courses or different stuff like that with an unnaturally large like hill shape in the middle. A lot of people think, okay, this is just built for the golf course. Well, not necessarily, because there's a ton of golf courses, a ton of stuff like that that just kind of used the existing land and they're like, "Oh, look at all these hills. This would be great for golfing." And then they just turned it into a golf course. Or like you'll see in the middle of like a cornfield or a bean field, everything's flat and then there'll be just like this one giant massive hill in the middle that doesn't look natural, or it doesn't look like it blends in with the surrounding environment. Most people overlook it. It's just a hill in the middle of a field. It doesn't get much thought, right? And of course, over time with plowing, the hills have gotten shorter and spread out more and this and that. But I was reading something that was saying like 90% chance if you see an unnaturally looking hill around here that it's probably used to be like a burial mound, and still is, just undiscovered, down in there. But very, very interesting stuff, guys. Very interesting.
Mounds in another location, the researchers found the remains of another 20 people. The largest mound at the site would have served as a solar calendar as well as a burial mound. The
Okay.
researchers discovered rows of pole-lined paths that would have most likely been used for like parades, things like that. And next to the largest mound, the researchers have discovered that there would have been wooden farmhouses. So the
Okay.
researchers have assumed that the largest mound at this location would have been an observatory, a very important place where people kept track of special days in the year, like for instance the solstices and equinoxes.
Okay.
But why would researchers assume this? You might ask yourself that.
Yeah, I am now. Now that you pointed it out, I am asking myself that. Why would they assume this? Let's find out, guys.
Well, this is actually easily explained. Around the largest mound, there's a shallow ditch with several passages. On
Okay.
certain days of the year, the sun would shine straight through those passages on the hill, just like we see at Newgrange in Ireland at the winter solstice. Of course, here in Teal, the summer and winter solstices would have been the most important days.
Now, did they account for the there's, what is it called, the polar equinox, or there's something where like everything shifts, right, over time. So like the stars that you would see hypothetically July 1st, right? Whatever stars are in the sky July 1st. If you go back a couple thousand years, that would have been shifted because of the shifting of the polar axis or something. I don't know for sure, but I wonder if they took any of that into account when they checked into this.
Not only would these passages show the most important days of the year, but there's also a ritualistic undertone as well. As the sun would
Okay.
shine on the mound of the dead on these special days as well, lighting up the ancestors of the people worshipping at this location. So why would the researchers compare this location to Stonehenge in England, and is this comparison an exaggeration.
Well, there's a ton of circular structures all over the place, and not even just circular. I mean, the pyramids aren't circular, but they all usually have something that lines up with the stars or the sun or something. So like, it definitely had something to do with keeping track of time, or maybe aliens coming back and they wanted to know when they're going to come back. Conspiracy theory, but yeah, very interesting.
The discovery shows that the Bronze Age people in Tiel, with their environment, the solar calendar, the burial mounds, and the worship of the dead, were no different from people living in other locations around the same time.
Right.
For a long time, it was believed that the Netherlands was less exciting and less developed when it comes to ancient monuments.
Is it okay?
I mean, we do have 54 dolmens in the east of our country, located in the provinces of Drenthe and Groningen. I even covered 2 of these dolmens in a video all the way back in 2020, and I'll put that video here for you in the upper right corner for you to click on if you want to watch it.
Very cool, guys. Like I said, the link to the original video will be down below. So go to the original video, find her a link, and check that out if that's something you're interested in. I may actually check it out after a bit. That seems pretty sweet.
But the people living in the Netherlands in the Stone Age and Bronze Age actually shared ideas with cultures far beyond the limits of the country of the Netherlands.
Yeah, there was a massive trade network back then. Like the world was more global than people realize. I mean, you got so many similarities between different cultures, and you find stuff in one part of the world that shouldn't be there because it came from a different part of the world that indicates obvious trade networks that were in place. And with the Netherlands being right there, you know, right off the sea, you got all the people coming down from Scandinavia going into Western Europe, this and that, people coming from the German or Poland area of Europe going to the western part of Europe, towards maybe France or whatever. That would be like a crossroads, you would think, for that, because of the location.
Building monuments and great tombs in line with the movements of the sun shows their sophistication as well. Of course, there's a main difference between the remains of these burial mounds in Tiel and the burial mounds in Ireland and, Stonehenge in England.
Of course, they're going to have some differences, but there's some similarities nonetheless.
And that main difference is the fact that no stones were found at this location.
Okay.
The people living in the Netherlands at the end of the Stone Age and beginning of the Bronze Age were really not building with stone at all, but they used wood and, of course, earth.
So instead of it being Stonehenge, we should call it the Woodhenge.
Really not building with stone at all, but they used wood and, of course, earth, because that was in abundance here. But this would also make it a lot more difficult to discover these ancient sanctuaries, and they leave
True.
little to no trace unless you know what to look for. In the places where the passages would let the sun shine on the mound, the researchers actually discovered numerous so-called sacrifices. One of these sacrifices was the skull of a woman. This woman may have held an important role in the community she was a part of. Of course, it's impossible to know what the people in the area believed nearly 4,000 years ago, but
Right.
there are so many sun and moon worshipping locations in Europe that are similar that we can at least know for sure that the sun and the moon played extremely big roles in their lives.
Well, yeah, I mean, you figure back in the day, thousands of years ago, you didn't have technology, you didn't have internet, you didn't have all this crazy stuff. You just had nature, right? And what's the most significant thing in nature? Well, it's these giant orbs floating across the sky. They're like, what in the world is going on? It controls everything because, the moon and stuff controls the tides. The sun controls the day and night cycle, of course. So their life revolves around the stars, the sun, the moon, all of it.
The sun that died in the winter and would come to life again in spring, ripening the crops, driving out the cold and the darkness. The dead played a major role in this cycle of life. The people back then would have probably wanted to keep some sort of contact with their ancestors to understand the order of the cosmos and to retain balance of nature.
Well, and you only have what you had to build off of, right? So like, you got all these smart people today. Well, if they didn't have the research and all the stuff that was done prior to them, they wouldn't be where they're at now, right? We're all building off of what's already been built. You know, if society collapses right now and we have absolutely no recollection of history, it's just wiped out, and you got all these people that's just boom out in nature. You know how long it would be to rebuild what it is, without actually the prior knowledge of, okay, if we do this and mix it with this and heat it up to this degree, whatever, now we got this element. This is all stuff that they've discovered hundreds of years ago that we know now. So we have a jump start on things, right? So, but starting off fresh with nothing, the people wouldn't be as smart as they are. So you're constantly going to be looking at the past to see what to do with the future, I think.
And for them, this would have ensured the return of the sun, which would lead to good harvests and abundant nature. Another reason this discovery is so unique has to do with the insane amount of artifacts found at the site. And when I say insane, I honestly mean insane.
She looks like she means it. She's like, I honestly, like, she ain't playing. This an insane number to her.
The archaeologists have unearthed more than 1 million objects at the sanctuary site. Of course, this massive amount of artifacts made the excavations very extensive, and this is one of the reasons it took so long for the archaeologists to conclude the excavations. Among these artifacts was a glass bead that originates from Mesopotamia, the area between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates.
Exactly, like I was just saying, they're finding stuff in places that it's not from. They're from other places on the world. Like, you clearly have trade networks going on back then. Way more extensive than you would ever think.
This is the oldest glass bead to have ever been found in the Netherlands.
Okay.
According to the researchers, this glass bead shows that the inhabitants of the Netherlands during the early Bronze Age were in contact with people almost 5,000 kilometers away at least 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Proving that people exchanged things far beyond their own area, just like the idea of the solar calendar.
Well, and people traveled, they migrated a lot too. So, and back then everything's a survival situation. So, you do have a lot of trade. You got people that's passing this way while you're going that way. So you're going to be like, hey, what do you have? Like, what, I'll trade you some of this and can I get some of that,
Knowledge and objects were shared with people from much further away than we had previously thought. Unfortunately, the discovery consists of traces in the ground that are no longer visible from the outside, but a number of the objects unearthed in the discovery will be on display in the upcoming months at the Regional Museum in Tiel, and in the National Museum of Antiquities in Leiden you can view a grave of several people from the sanctuary of Tiel.
Go check that out, guys. I'm not there, but you are. You're in the country of the Netherlands. Most of you are. I mean, obviously there's going to be some viewers from other countries, but most of the people watching this video and watching my channel in general is from the Netherlands. You guys can go check that out. Go do it. I suggest you check it out. It sounds pretty sweet. If I was there, I would totally be all about it.
I've actually created a museum tour of the National Antiquities Museum in Leiden on my channel in the past, and
Nice.
I'll put that as a card in the upper right corner.
Up there, guys. Well, you can't click on that one because it's my video, but you go to her original video, go to 8 minutes and 55 seconds into her video, and you'll be able to click on that card. I suggest you do it.
For you to click on as well. I highly recommend watching that video. I am personally a little bit stunned by this discovery. It honestly never really crossed my mind that we could ever have a discovery of this magnitude and sophistication in my tiny country.
Yeah, that'd be like them finding something like that, like out here in the woods somewhere, like by my house. I would be mind blown, which I know there's stuff around, like I was saying with the Indian mounds and stuff, but yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
I always thought that the people living here 4,000 years ago didn't create long-lasting monuments, especially not a sanctuary site this big that they had used for over 800 years.
Oh, wow.
But what do you think of this latest discovery? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like these. And click that bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I upload.
I'm hitting like, I'm hitting subscribe, guys. It says right here, some of the comments, it says this discovery in the Netherlands is huge. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. I was trying to make it a little bit bigger for you. This discovery in the Netherlands is huge. It advances paleoanthropology by several notches. Uh, this person says there's not a lot of stone in the Netherlands. The province of Limburg in the southeast has stone, chalkstone to be exact. They used to mine it as a building material, though probably not during the Stone Age and Bronze Age. For the rest of the country, if there's a large stone, a boulder, or kai, it's likely been deposited there by an ice age glacier. You can find gravel and clay by the rivers. The rest of the country, sand, earth, mud, or peat. True, it's a river delta, guys. Uh, there isn't a lot of stone besides the glacial stones, so that makes sense. You got to build with what you got, right? The Hannenbaden and Drath have been made with glacial stones. I've done a bit of looking into the history of Dutch farmhouses. Not a historian, and pretty much none survived from before the 12th century. Could have my could have my century wrong. Okay, so he's not sure. When fired bricks became commonplacely available, before that, farmhouses were built on oak beams set into the ground, and they would eventually rot, and the farmhouse would have to be rebuilt. But with the availability of bricks, these oak beams could now rest on a brick foundation and stay dry. The wood would no longer rot in the ground. Large stones such as are such a rarity that the city of Amsterdam, right next to a hill created by an ice age glacier, has a few large boulders they dug up during works presented on pedestals and trophies. And the nickname of the city is Kystad because of this, Boulder City. Long tangent short, the Stone Age people of the Netherlands didn't have a lot of stone to work with. It's not surprising that it's mainly earthworks and wood. Yeah, I agree. So, anyways, add to the comments, guys. Go to her video, put in your input, hit like, hit subscribe, have a super fun, awesome day. I will certainly catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.